2024 was a very big year for the entire crypto industry, but very specifically for the Chainlink community. I think we continue to solidify our lead in the DeFi space, powering the majority of DeFi. We also saw a huge amount of adoption in the capital markets. This adoption, I think, is really starting to form the future of our industry because of the amount of value that you find within the capital markets space. That value really can't be found anywhere else. And it's really the source of capital that's going to allow our industry to grow to the next stage. This is now starting to become clear very slowly through some tokenized funds, but I think it's going to go very, very, very far beyond that. 2024 was a very big year where multiple central banks, multiple governments started working with Chainlink in various ways to collaborate on how to build a global financial system that runs on the Chainlink standard. The value of the Chainlink standard to the global financial system is that it creates highly reliable agreements, highly reliable transactions, and something that is fundamentally better than the current existing financial system. The financial system, however, is already built on a set of existing technologies. And those technologies won't be going away because there's so many banks and asset managers that rely so heavily on them. The challenge in 2025 will be to continue to build what the DeFi community needs to make sure that the market share and the adoption of Chainlink in the public chain DeFi community space continues to grow as it has been over the last years, and to remain secure as we have for the 5+ years that Chainlink has operated successfully. And now to continue to expand into the capital markets. Expanding into the capital markets is really the next stage, I think, of the Chainlink communities and the Chainlink protocols and the Chainlink standards growth trajectory. It's the ability to define transactions for the capital markets in a technical way that allows them to transact both with each other and with the DeFi community. At the end of the day, the DeFi community will be the hotbed of innovation, where there will be lots of permissionlessly created, permissionlessly innovated, new forms of yield, new financial products, new methods of managing risk. And this will be where the world's financial innovation comes from. There will continue to be a very large capital markets community of asset managers, banks, financial market infrastructures that are regulated in ways that make institutions and the largest users of the financial system comfortable in giving their money over to the system. Eventually, what we're going to see is the highly regulated institutions and DeFi community merge into a single Internet of Contracts. I think that is well underway in 2024. But what I see in 2025 is that we're going to go very far beyond what has happened so far. The regulatory environment in the US is massively going to accelerate the adoption of blockchain technology. It's something that very clearly is now aligned with our industry's goals of creating a highly transparent, highly interoperable, global Internet of Contracts. This is really the only place that I could see our industry going now, is that it is the way that financial transactions now occur both in the US economy, outside the US economy, and globally. At the end of the day, I think what the Chainlink community needs to really get good at in the coming years is working with the existing systems, the existing standards, the existing legal system, so that it can be defining how to technically implement this new global financial system. I think we're already very well on the way from our great work as a community in 22, 23, 24, and even before then. And I think 2025 is going to be a year where we're going to see a lot of that great work come to fruition with very valuable, high-end, high-quality institutional use cases. At the same time, I see DeFi realizing that the institutional world is seeing the value of DeFi, and DeFi is seeing the value of their brand and the quality of the assets that they can bring on-chain. And these assets will diversify the risk of DeFi, and it will give various forms of collateral that DeFi historically hasn't had access to. What DeFi will do is create yield and various other exciting opportunities for these assets and collateral. So really, these two groups, in my opinion, are inevitably destined to work together to create this Internet of Contracts. Similarly to how in the early days of the internet, you had big companies on the internet and you had innovative startups on the internet, and they all interacted with each other over the internet. What's important now is that there is a global set of standards that is accepted across jurisdictions, across legal systems, as the reliable way to define transactions, to send value and information across chains, to provide identity on chain, to provide various forms of data on chain, and to create this interconnected web of systems and counterparties that allows all different categories of counterparties, categories of users to interact with each other. This means if you're a retail consumer or if you're one of the largest institutions on earth, the system should be able to meet your requirements. It should allow you to easily put value into the system as a consumer. It should allow you to easily put value into the system as an institution and to efficiently create interactions between these two groups in a way that reduces risk and creates returns for both. This is fundamentally what the financial system should be doing, and it should be doing it in a way with less risk and less systemic financial issues. I think this is really where we're going. After we get past kind of creating all the blockchain, smart contract, and Oracle network adoption in the capital markets community, I think the next stage will be government adoption of blockchains in every category of government. This is going to be the next and final stage of blockchain adoption that I think the Chainlink community is now in the process of being set up for in 2025. So the years before 2025 were the years where we captured the DeFi ecosystem, we captured the blockchain gaming ecosystem, we captured many key blockchain use cases as the most secure, most reliable infrastructure that allows those use cases to actually work. We also entered the capital markets industry, and by making the most secure way to transact, the more secure way to send value, the most secure way to send data, the most secure way to prove things like identity, we were able to capture an outsized portion of that market share. In 2025, I think we need to rapidly capture the capital markets opportunity, as we already have been, but even more rapidly as that opportunity is now growing, and to set Chainlink up to be a global standard for both the DeFi startup community, the capital markets community, and the governments of the world as the way that their central banks, their transportation systems, their information transfer systems all operate, because all of those systems will be operating on chains, and all of those chains will need data, identity, connectivity, and all the other things that Chainlink will provide through CRE. I think last year was also a very big year for the evolution of the platform, where CRE was introduced and we started early access and consulting with various user groups to understand exactly what CRE should be doing for the community. And 2025 is on track to be the year that CRE, I think, can go into general access and become more available to a larger and larger user group. At this point, that's what I think we in the community are working towards. If you have all of the data connected into the systems where people want to use the data, if you're the way that all of the existing systems interact with the new systems, and if you have the methodology for very simply coordinating all of those complex old system and new system interactions, then I think any system that does that is really in a key position to form how the world works. That is really what Chainlink at this point is going towards. We already have the data connections. We're already the most reliable source of data into blockchains, widely accepted as being that. Now we're becoming the most reliable and secure method of cross-chain transaction. Next, we are providing more and more information from an identity point of view. And then with the appearance of CRE, we can efficiently coordinate all of these key building blocks into a single application or into a single transaction that is so complex that any other system just won't be able to do it. So the transactions that you've seen in the blockchain world so far have been relatively simple. My private key signs an address, signs a transaction from an address that sends something to your address, like a token, either on a chain or across the chain. And maybe there's a little bit of data that's necessary from a price point of view. But the transactions that are now going to happen in this more advanced world are going to be extremely complex, with many, many different stages, requiring many pieces of data, market data, reference data, identity data, connectivity not just to one other chain, but to multiple other chains, and integration and interaction with multiple external existing legacy traditional systems. It is really going to be the ability to solve the complexity of this end-to-end interaction between data, identity, and legacy systems that'll allow a transaction to actually come into existence. And if the transaction doesn't come into existence, our industry doesn't move forward. And everybody in the world now wants our industry to move forward, including the US government and many other global governments. So I think we're in a pretty unique position where the Chainlink platform and the Chainlink community are the only place, the only community, the only technologies, the only protocols that can, in one system and in one group, solve your problems and make this complex transaction actually work. And it's continuing to expand what's possible with transactions, starting with the highly financial nature of how blockchains and Oracle networks interact. But then I think moving on to all the other use cases where data, connectivity, identity, and all these other key factors for using blockchains are critical, which are basically the vast majority of use cases. So I think 2025 is the year when capital markets adoption really starts to take off, and government and central bank adoption starts to take on a new trajectory. So it starts to create, we start to create a foundation off of which to really jump into that world. And that will really be the final stage of blockchain adoption, right? If it started with startups and now it's progressed to banks, it's going to end where all large economic and financial and technical trends end, which is governmental endorsement and adoption. So we are now in kind of the middle stage that's starting to really accelerate. And we will eventually, as an industry, reach the final stage in the next few years of overall government adoption. And then blockchains and Oracle networks and smart contracts will be ubiquitous. They will secure all the value, transmit all the data, and reliably prove all the identity requirements that are needed for people to transact and interact with each other. This is the world we're going towards, and I think 2025 is going to be a very pivotal year. I'm very excited and looking forward to doing it together with all of you. Thank you.